everyone, it's Agnieszka from 5 Minute Language. Welcome to my channel. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed already and give this video a thumbs up to let me know you enjoyed it. This video is about how to stay motivated when learning a foreign language. Are you ready? Let's get started. Motivation is a very important element of learning a foreign language. It's something that keeps you going, and if you lose it, that's it. Often you have a break or you stop learning altogether, which is not what you want. So I'm about to give you some ideas for how you can stay motivated when learning a foreign language. My first tip is about developing internal language learning motivation. So there are different types of motivation. There is external motivation and internal motivation. External motivation is all about having a reward system. So for example, if I learn 10 new words in a foreign language, I'm going to reward myself with something. So I'm going to have a walk in the park, or I'm going to watch an episode of something on Netflix. So you motivate yourself by thinking about the reward. This is a nice way of rewarding yourself in the short term, but in the long run, it can actually be quite problematic. Relying on rewards is not the most sustainable way of learning a language. You need something that keeps you going over a long period of time. That's why internal motivation is the way to go. What I mean by internal motivation is developing a kind of understanding of the reasons why you're learning a foreign language and being able to come back to those reasons whenever you feel a little bit demotivated. So it's about knowing exactly why it is that you're doing it and thinking about it in a sort of emotional way. So for example, I want to learn Spanish because I've got a really good Spanish friend and I really want to connect with her, and that is something that's going to give me the motivation to learn. Another way of developing an internal kind of motivation is to connect your language activities to the things that you really enjoy. So for example, watching a specific type of film, or reading comic books, for example, or listening to a specific type of podcast about something that you're really passionate about, not necessarily something to do with how to learn a language. You can listen to a business podcast in English if that's something that you're passionate about. So when you connect it to your passion or you connect it to an emotional reason, language learning can become more internally ingrained in your kind of motivation system in your brain. So my second tip is about finding your favorite way to learn. So some people might try different techniques which don't necessarily work for them, and they stick to them for a long period of time, and then they get demotivated because they can't see the results or they don't really enjoy the process of learning. So if you want to be motivated, it's very important that you find a language learning technique that works for you and that you enjoy, even if it's less effective than something else, because if it's something you don't enjoy, it's not going to be effective anyway. My third tip is about being clear about your goals. If you don't know what your goals are, if you don't know what you're trying to achieve, then how are you going to motivate yourself to do it? So be very clear and very specific about what it is that you're trying to achieve every day, every week, every month, every year. My fourth tip is about reminding yourself why you started. So go back to that very original thought that you had when you decided to start learning the language. Learning a language is difficult, and sometimes you run into difficulties, you become demotivated and you become frustrated, and it's normal. It's a normal type of emotion for all language learners. And that's why it's important to remind yourself why you started in the first place. And just go back to that nice thought that you had, when you decided to learn a language because you really enjoyed a film that you watched, or you met a really nice person that meant a lot in your life. Going back to that thought will give you an extra motivation boost, believe me. My fifth tip is about breaking down your goals. So make sure, so this is going back to the previous tip I gave you, which is about being specific about your goals, but this is about breaking them down into small steps. So make sure your goals are not too big because they will be a little bit overwhelming. So if you break them down, you become a little bit more motivated. You can then say to yourself, you know what, I've achieved a small thing today and I'm moving on to the next thing, but at least I've achieved something. Another thing I want to say to you is that you should always celebrate your successes, no matter how small they are. So it kind of links back to the question of goals again. So you break your goals into small steps, you achieve them, and then you celebrate. And you really celebrate by saying well done to yourself, or even throwing a party for your language friends. The next thing I want to talk about is about embracing your mistakes. So not getting demotivated by your mistakes, but using every opportunity when you made a mistake to learn something new. So whenever you realize you made a mistake, think about it, write it down, and don't see it as a failure. See it as an opportunity to learn something new. The only reason why you know you made a mistake is because you know how to do something the next time you get to do it. So you pronounced something incorrectly, somebody corrected you, that's your learning. You know how to do it next time round. So embrace your mistakes and you will be more motivated. My next tip is about something that's very dangerous, but it's also very common. It's about comparing yourself to other people. And it's something that all of us have done at least once, I'm sure. Comment below this video to let me know if you've ever compared yourself to another person who speaks the language you're learning. I certainly have, and I still do it all the time. So I'm going to encourage you not to do it, although I am often guilty of this myself. But if you want to stay motivated, you have to remember that that person also went through a journey. And also, there's no point comparing yourself to other people because your achievements are still achievements. It's good to have a role model, but there's no point thinking I am worse than that person, because that person has already gone through the same journey and they might be 5 steps ahead. You will get there at some point as well. And my final tip is about telling other people about what you're learning, what you're doing. That way you become accountable for what you're doing. So you can do it in many different ways. You can set up a Facebook group where you and your friends share your goals for the month or for the week, and then you say exactly what you're going to do or what you're trying to achieve. By talking to other people about it, you make your learning more transparent, and you also motivate yourself externally, so to speak, because obviously you wouldn't want to then say, I haven't actually done any work. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and give it a thumbs up. Like I said, make sure you subscribe to the channel to let me know that you do enjoy the content, and I'll see you next time. Good luck with your learning. Bye.